everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to the 1999 Project. This week, well, it's going to be very comedy heavy with one drama to kind of cut everything. But first up, I don't really have a good joke or anything. I just have always wanted to use this particular clip from South Park, and I've never had an excuse to, so here it is.
Fuck you, Kyle. You're a piece of shit.
I don't know why it makes me laugh so hard. It just does. It's South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut.
I said, who wants to touch me?
South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut, was directed by Trey Parker. It was written by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators of a little TV show called South Park. You may have heard of it. And it, well, is a South Park movie. Kenny, Cartman, the whole gang is all there. They watch a movie called Asses of Fire. Yes, really. And the parents of the children get so uptight about it that they start a war with Canada. Ah, the 90s. I won't lie and say that I'm a big fan of South Park. I don't really know all that much about it. Not out of any reason other than it started before my time and I never really caught on to it. But this was a half-decent excuse for me to finally watch Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, being this project. And I can safely say the movie made me laugh pretty hard. I really love the animation style of it. It's a good thing that Trey Parker and Matt Stone carried over their talents from the show over to here. In my research, I found it was rather interesting that they ended up releasing this movie when they did, because South Park started in 97. And you would think with, say, something like Simpsons movie or the Bob's Burgers movie that the movie would have come out long after the popularity had come around. But no, this was in the middle of South Park's like reign of dominance or about close to it. So it's pretty interesting that they decided to it's a rare case of creatives striking while the iron is hot. The point I'm trying to get at is that Parker and Stone are firing on all cylinders with their animation and especially their humor. This movie is offensive to pretty much everyone and everything, and it made me laugh riotously on a few occasions. All without losing its spirit of being a musical. This movie is a musical, let's just call it what it is. The Blame Canada song is an earworm, I'm not going to lie. The opening song is very good indeed. It's one of those unconventional musicals, but it's a musical. There are some jokes that for me personally I didn't really understand, or they just hammered home a little too hard. Like, for example, Satan and him being in a relationship with Saddam Hussein. I mean, yeah, I get it, Saddam Hussein, evil man, sure, in hell, that makes sense. But for some reason, Saddam Hussein was always horny in this one and always wanting to have sex with the devil. It, it it's just weird. The joke just kind of was repeated over and over again a lot of times, and it dragged on a bit, that particular part. But this movie comes in at a pretty high and tight 80 minutes, or 81 or 82 minutes. The jokes are mostly funny, the animation is really strong, the songs are good. I'm going to give this a great rating, but a high great rating. I'm sure if you're a South Park fan, you'll give it a full 5 out of 5. But as someone who is not really familiar with the South Park canon, for lack of a better word, I really enjoyed this. Now let's take a hard left in terms of content and in terms of just pretty much everything. It's Summer of Sam.
In 1977, the summer belonged to Sam.
Summer of Sam was a Spike Lee joint, and it starred Adrian Brody and John Leguizamo, among others. And this is loosely based on the summer of 1977, where it was reportedly really hot in the Bronx, and there was a murderer going around calling himself the Son of Sam. And this movie captures the reactions of a lot of the A lot of the people living in an Italian neighborhood in the Bronx. This is a rare case of a Spike Lee movie that I had never even heard of. I haven't seen a lot of Spike Lee's movies, but I had never even straight up heard of Summer of Sam. Like, I was looking into it when I was planning out this project, like, Summer of Sam, who did this? And then it was like, Spike Lee? Interesting. Because Spike Lee is known for movies like Malcolm X, He Got Game, Black Klansman, things like that. So when I saw Summer of Sam, it stuck out like a sore thumb. And this movie is bizarre, to say the least. It's very well made, but a lot of the content, it just, yeah, I was just sitting there going, why? The performances are all strong. John Leguizamo is a pretty reliable get in the acting department. But the one that I was interested in the most was Adrian Brody's character. Not only does he rock the pointed hair look, but also he rocks a mohawk in this. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, this dude would win an Oscar for The Pianist. Adrian Brody has some serious range. The performances are all strong. The soundtrack is really good as well. It's that late 70s, like hard rock, early days of disco kind of sound. It's just awesome. So, like, if anything else, look out for the soundtrack. It's the whole thing with the content that really just kind of weirded me out a bit. I don't even know where to start, so I'll just cherry pick ones that stuck out to me. There is a talking dog in this. You'll know him when you see him. It kind of reminded me of Sorry to Bother You, where the twist in that movie is, and I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it is truly wild. Adrian Brody's character starts out as a guy who wants to be kind of like Pete Townsend of The Who, but then he gets a job as a male stripper and basically services men for money and then uses it to fuel his rock career. I was honestly more invested in like the in where that was going rather than anything else. And the movie presents it in a way that's just weird. It's mostly through like not flashbacks, but like music video styles of editing, soundtrack to one particular scene, Baba O'Reilly by The Who. Great song, but I was just sitting there thinking to myself, what is the point of any of this? John Leguizamo's character and his girlfriend in the movie get high. Then they go to CBGB, the famous rock club. They get into what I imagine is a three-way, and then they leave the party afterward and kind of break up half, like three-quarters away through the movie, all soundtrack to Dancing Queen by ABBA. I don't know what to make of that. At the end of the day, I'm going to give this a good rating only because the filmmaking is really strong. I mean, it's Spike Lee, so of course. But for me personally, this movie was just too weird to live and too rare to die. And that's a perfect segue to talk into our final movie for this week, Wild Wild West.
From the director of Men in Black.
Nice hat.
Wild Wild West was directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, the director of the Men in Black trilogy, among others. And this is loosely, and I stress loosely, based on the TV show of the same name, just with a the Wild Wild West. It starred Will Smith, Salma Hayek, Kevin Kline, and Kenneth Branagh, among others. And it tells the story of Jim West and Artemis Gordon, played by Will Smith and Kevin Kline, respectively. They are teamed up to basically find out who is kidnapping noted scientists in the country. And it turns out the man in question is Dr. Arliss Lovelace, who has designs on kidnapping President Ulysses S. Grant and taking over the country. All while doing it, riding a giant mechanical spider. Where do I begin? Well, let me start off by saying this movie is crap. Like, but it's the best kind of crap. It's the kind of crap where you look at it and you just go, I love you. I hate that I love you, but I love you. It's a movie, like I said, with Summer of Sam. It's too weird to live and it's too rare to die. I just look at it and I just go, you belong in 2023, but you have such a 1999 sense of story and grandeur. I love you. If you can't tell, Wild Wild West is a big guilty pleasure of mine. I understand it's bad, but it's like the enjoyable kind of bad where you can kick back and go, yeah, this is the good stuff right here. And I mean, honestly, I could just rattle off things that happen, and I would have to add the disclaimer of I'm not on any illicit substances. These do, in fact, actually happen here. Kevin Kline and Will Smith dress in drag in separate sequences in this, and they both do some form of exotic dance. Yes, really. There is a scene on the train that they take to find Dr. Lovelace where they're planning out the one of them wearing drag, and they're talking about the size of the boobs, the fake boobs that Gordon plans on wearing.
I mean, your breasts were hard and stiff and sticking out like a couple of rusty cannons on a sunken ship.
Touch them.
I'm not touching those things.
What are you afraid you're wrong? Touch my breast. Just one. Touch one.
There's a character named General Bloodbath McGrath, who is, no joke, Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs, who talks exactly like Buffalo Bill. But with the only difference being that he's got a big ol' horn coming out of one of his ears. Like like he missed the steampunk movement by a decade and a half. Kenneth Branagh is arguably at his most over the top, well, outside of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein anyway. He comes out in this movie, his introduction in this movie comes out where his female minions sing Battle Hymn of the Republic while he is in a cake shaped like Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln's head then blows up, and then he pops out of the cake and he says, "Don't you just hate that song?" This movie was a disaster, both critically and financially, but I don't care. Objectively, I gotta give this a horrid rating, but like subjectively, this movie's absolutely amazing. It is such a guilty pleasure of mine. It's like this and Waterworld are like the two where I recognize it's bad, but it's like the best kind of bad where it knows exactly what it's doing and loves exactly what it's doing. If for some reason you have never seen this movie, see it. Do yourself a favor. But what did you all think of any of these movies? Let me know in the comments. I would love to read what you have to say. My name is Ryan Cam, and
Just one. Touch one.